Good evening, my friends. Welcome to Carpo's Corner, or 15-minute free thinking, if you like. Tonight I'm going to talk about the causes of extremism, and I'm going to do it in a pretty simple format by just laying into it the way I see it, which seems to be the common way that I do things. But I want to let people know that when I say extremism, there's a misconception out there from every single person who hears that. When they think extremism, they have a view in their mind of one group or another. To me, extremism is any time you take things into your own hands to the point where you're willing to commit violence or attack people because you believe that they're holding you back or that they're preventing your group from doing something. And the reasons why extremism exists. Now, it starts with the basic fundamental human right to be respected. Lack of basic human dignity, lack of basic human rights, food and water, causes many uprisings and has through the past. When the people don't feel like they've been fed or they're not treated properly, they tend to uprise against their own governments. But it goes much deeper than this. A lack of purpose in life is one of the other things. We want to find community. We want a feeling that we have a voice. We want to be heard by our governments and by our fellow man. And if we feel like we're undervalued, then there's always going to be strife. And especially with the fact that we're triggered naturally by emotional stress or major events. So, I wanted to go over what are known as the 7 personal needs. Now, this comes from, I'd like to read a page from an FBI website, as much as people may not really appreciate law enforcement. But the 7 personal needs would be power, achievement. So power to mean we have some power over our lives. Achievement, the belief that we've actually done something that's worthwhile with our time. Affiliation, which is belonging to a group or being at least accepted by a few people as being a certain type of person. Importance, which is how we're valued by our community. Purpose, which falls in line with the previous, however, is mainly our specific path and how we've contributed to the world. And then the last 2, which, ethics. I said morality, but somebody pointed out ethics, and I think ethics and morality fall in the same line. Morality, or our values, and excitement. Now, the last one is the one that really got me. Excitement is considered a personal need. Some sort of excitement in your life. And I thought about the fact that I love to go to concerts, I love to go to events, I like to go out and meet people and have a good time. But some people, for their excitement, they like to go and cause conflict, look for a fight, harm others. And this isn't an individual like left or right, Democrat or conservative thing. This is a human thing. And I've seen many disgusting traits in all political viewpoints. But that excitement thing, it's important that we find other outlets besides harming other people. So the point I wanted to get to here was, because extremism exists, it aims to recruit people who don't know any better. And there are extremists from the left and the right who just want to get you into their group because they feel stronger. And you feel like you're part of something. Well, they seek people who are upset, angry, or having a hard time in their lives, for one. Then they will point out your personal problems. They'll say, hey, do you feel like cops have wronged somebody you know? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, then you should come join us and protest with Antifa against cops. Sure, why not? Even when they have no personal grievance or understanding. This isn't always the case. But the same can be said for those who go out and march for one president, or believe that they're being lied to when they have no evidence to the contrary. We are always told, hey, the immigrants are to blame for your problems or someone else's. And what I'm getting at is that recruitment is very simple with the internet, and we're in a dangerous time. It's important. My only point here is not to point the finger at other people who are extremists. My point here for making this video is hoping that, as ridiculous as it may sound, I might reach one person out there who wants to go extreme one direction or another, and to let them know that it's not worth dying for a cause unless you understand what that cause is. And so many times, most of the time, we don't understand what we're even fighting for. But more than dying for a cause, it's about, why do you want to waste your energy fighting against other people that are your neighbors, your friends? The most important thing is to try to relate. That's what recruiters do. They try to relate to you. They try to find some similarity that they can find with you to convince you that they're on your side. And they really prey on people who have no money or no job or no hope. And it's unfortunate. But if you look at the recruitment tactics of ISIS and other terrorist groups, it's no different from white supremacist groups or, anarchist groups. It's a matter of finding people who are disenfranchised and promising them that they can do better or be happier if they only fight with you. If we have anxiety in our lives or painful experiences, maybe we've been bullied. That's an excuse for people to, take over our minds and basically control us. Let me see if I can find this link here. I actually had, there it is, yeah. Patching, yes. Okay, matching each description with, here we go. So, these were the different, this is from an FBI website, regardless of how you feel about this. If you feel, there's a description and a risk if not met. When I mentioned earlier, there was the list of personal needs: power, achievement, affiliation, importance, purpose, morality, and excitement. And here's what it says about each. Description: feeling in control in life may lead to improved self-confidence or a self-importance. Risk if not met: those who wish to control or feel superior to others may be attracted to violent extremism. The next one says, description: mastering skills and accomplishing goals can provide a feeling of self-worth. And then, risk if not met: those who want to make a positive difference in life may falsely think they can do that by taking part in violent or harmful acts. And it goes on. There are several different ones, and perhaps if anyone's interested, I can share them in the description. But the point being that these are, psychological needs that we all have to feel like we belong. One of the most heartbreaking things that I see is people who are marching against one thing or another, when I know both groups who are fighting, really, if they sat down and talked, have very similar interests. But they're so divided because of the one thing that they both agree is bullshit: the media. The media blows people's stories out of proportion, makes it look ridiculous. We all know how the media has you pose and walk down the street for an article. There's only one time I've been on the news, and that was back in 2016 when the DEA was trying to shut down Kratom. I called my local news station. I wrote them, emailed them, and basically begged them, forced them almost to do an interview with me as a Kratom vendor. And they said, well, we're doing one with the guy in Northeast Portland, because I wouldn't let him come to my house and do it in my office. So I said, okay, I'll come meet you there. And I did this interview, and they had me walk around the corner and down the street. And then I talked to them, then they cut up the article into just a few sound bites. And that was the whole point. That's what they do to everyone. So the left and the right feel like they're disenfranchised, ignored, and that the media just blows their message up and completely ignores what they actually have to say. That makes it hard to feel like you're heard. No, like I mentioned the other day, Andy No, NGO is his last name. I guess it's pronounced No. He lives in Portland, and he or Vancouver, maybe here. But he's, very opposed to groups like Antifa, for example. And he got hit in the face with a concrete milkshake, apparently, a few years back, which I remember that. And he has had it out for Antifa ever since. Then there's groups like Antifa themselves who have it out for certain white supremacists, like, what's his name? Not Gavin. No, I can't remember his name now, but he got punched when he was just standing on the street doing an interview. And, I thought that was completely wrong. Some guy just runs up and punches him while he's talking, and that's completely wrong. So it's not about supporting either one of these sides with ammunition or giving them your attention. It's about just kind of shaking our heads at the whole thing and saying, we see when these tactics work to recruit people. If people think that this country is ever going to be a white supremacist country, they're completely wrong. And if people ever think that this country's going to be perfect, and that all the laws are going to be right, and that there's not going to be any abuse, they're going to have to work towards that really hard. I'm not going to say it's not going to be done, but realistically, we live in a confusing world, in a complicated world. So we have to fight for all the things we want. That doesn't necessarily mean we can burn businesses to get there. There's a lot of power behind the government. As we can see right now, a lot of people wanted to protest this week, but the military presence is overwhelming right now around the capitals in the country. And I'm guessing it's mostly just in blue states, but we live in strange times, and so many people are wasting so much energy fighting among each other, or for reasons we don't even understand. And I know that I'm part of that. I know that we're all part of that, and I hope we can overcome that. I hope that in the next decade we can come together, figure out some truths about the world. And I don't think that everyone who's fighting on the right side is a racist or a hateful person, nor should they think everyone on the left is some kind of, the same. We've gone too far. I think that we can look back and hopefully overcome this stupid bullshit that we've been treating each other so horribly over the last couple of years, and it really needs to stop. So be well, my friends. Take care of each other. Remember, it's how you live is your choice. I mean, embrace what is, but try to make it a better world. And for those who are listening on the podcast, I appreciate your time as well. And I will talk to you next time. If you're not familiar with the podcast, it's called 15-Minute Free Thinking. It's in the description. If you want to support the channel, it's on Patreon. It's in the description. I have a Discord server where I answer questions and have various different chats. That's in the description. And I'll talk to you next time. Be well.